Hello, good evening. Welcome to this evening's reading of the Mowgli stories. We finished last time with the letting in of the jungle, where the jungle reclaimed all the land which the villagers had taken. The village was destroyed, and the jungle took back all the land. We had stopped there. Now, the next story of this chapter starts with the title Red Dog. Now, this red dog, I do not know what this is about. Let us read. It was after the letting in of the jungle that the pleasantest part of Mowgli's life began. He had the good conscience that comes from paying debts. All the jungle was his friend and just a little afraid of him. The things that he did and saw and heard when he was wandering from one place to another with or without his four companions would make many such stories, each as long as what we have already told. So you will never be told all that, and how he met the mad elephant of Mandala, who killed 220 bullocks, drawing 11 carts of coins silver to the government treasury, and scattered the shiny rupees in the dust, how he fought Jakala, the crocodile, all one a long night in the marshes of the north, and broke his skinning knife on the brute's back plates. How he found a new and longer knife round the neck of a man who had been killed by a wild boar, and how he tracked that boar and killed him as a fair price for the knife. How he was caught up once in the great famine by the moving of the deer, and nearly crushed to death in the swaying hot herds. How he saved Hathi, the silent one, from being once more trapped in a pit with a stake at the bottom. And how next day he himself fell into a very cunning leopard trap, and how Hathi broke the thick wooden bars to pieces above him. How he milked the wild buffaloes in the swamp, and so on and so on and so on. But we must tell one tale at a time. Father and Mother Wolf died. Mowgli rolled a big boulder against the mouth of the cave where they lay, and the death sang and cried this death song over them. Balu grew very old and stiff, and even Bagheera, whose nerves were steel and whose muscles were iron, was a shade slower on the kill than he had been. Akela turned from grey to milky white with pure rage. His ribs stuck out, and he walked as though he had been made of wood. And Mowgli killed for him. But the young bulls, the children of the disbanded Sioni pack, throve and increased, and when there were about 40 of them, masterless, full-voiced, calm-footed 5-year-olds, Akela told them that they ought to gather themselves together and follow the law, and run under one head, as befitted the free people. So they become another band of wolves, family of wolves. This was not a question in which Mowgli concerned himself, for, as he said, he had eaten sour fruit, and he knew the tree it hung from. But when Phao, son of Fauna, his father was a great tracker in the days of the Akela's leadership, when Fauna fought his way to the leadership of the pack according to the jungle law, and the old calls and songs began to ring under the stars once more. Mowgli came to the council rock for memory's sake. When he chose to speak, the pack waited till he had finished, and he sat at Akela's side on the rock above Phao. Those were days of good hunting and good sleeping. No stranger cared to break into the jungles that belonged to Mowgli's people, as they called the pack. And the young bulls grew fat and strong, and There were many cubs to bring to the looking over. Mowgli always attended the looking over, remembering the night when a black panther brought a naked brown baby into the pack, and the long call, "Look, look well, O wolves," made his heart flutter. Otherwise, he would be far away in the jungle with his four brothers, tasting, touching, seeing, and feeling new things. One twilight, when he was trotting leisurely across the ranges to give Akela the half of a back that he had killed, while the four jogged behind him, sparring a little, and tumbling one over another for joy of being alive, he heard a cry that had never been heard since the bad days of the Sher Khan. It was what they call the jungle of the field, a hideous kind of shriek that the jackal gives when he is hunting behind a tiger, or when there's a big killing afoot. If you can imagine a mixture of hate, triumph, fear, and despair with a kind of leer running through it, you will get some notion of the feel, P-H-E-E-A-L, feel, that rose and sank and wavered and quavered far away across the Wainganga. The four stepped at once. The four stopped at once, bristling and growling. Mowgli's hand went to his knife, and he checked the blood in his face. His eyebrows knotted. "There is no striped on dare kill here," he said. "That is not the cry of the forerunner," answered Grey Brother. "It is some great killing. Listen." It broke again, half sobbing, half chuckling, just as though the jackal had soft human lips. Then Mowgli drew deep breath and ran to the council rock, overtaking on his way hurrying wolves of the pack. Phao and Akela were on the rock together, and below them, every nerve strained, sat the others. The mothers and the cubs were cantering off to their lairs, for when the Fiel cries, it is no time for weak things to be abroad. They could hear nothing except the Wainganga rushing and gurgling in the dark, and the light evening winds among the treetops, till suddenly, across the river, a wolf called. It was no wolf of the pack, for they were all at the rock. The note changed to a long, despairing bay, and Dhole, it said, "Dhole, Dhole, Dhole." They heard tired feet on the rocks, and a gaunt wolf, streaked with red on his flanks, his right forepaw useless, and his jaws white with foam, flung himself into the circle and lay gasping at Mowgli's feet. "Good morning, good hunting, under whose headship?" said Phao gravely. "Good hunting, Wontolamai," was the answer. He meant that he was a solitary wolf, fending for himself, his mate and his cubs in some lonely lair, as do many wolves in the south. Wontola means an outlier, one who lies out from any pack. Then he panted, and they could see his heartbeats shake him backward and forward. "What moves?" said Phao, for that is the question all the jungle asks after the fail cries. The Dhole, the Dhole, the Dhole. They come, red dog, the killer. They came north from the south, saying the Deccan was empty and killing out by the way. When this moon was new, there were 4 to me, my mate and 3 cubs. She would teach them to kill on the great plains, hiding to drive the buck. as we do, who are of the open. At midnight, I heard them together, full tongue on the trail. At the dawn wind, I found them stiff in the grass, four free people, four when this moon was new. Then sought I my blood right and found the dhole. How many? Said Mowgli quickly. The pack growled deep in their throats. I do not know. Three of them will kill no more, but at the last they drove me like the buck on my three legs. They drove me free, look, free people. So he thrust out his mangled forefoot, all dark with dried blood. There were cruel bites low down on his side, and his throat was torn and worried. So this new wolf, which has come with one leg completely damaged, is telling this story that he was chased and bitten and all that. How many? Said Mowgli quickly. The pack growled deep in their throats. I do not know. Three of them will kill no more. But at the last, they drove me like the buck on my three legs. They drove me. Look, free people. He thrust out his mangled forefoot, all dark with dried blood. There were cruel bites down on his side, and his throat was torn and worried. Eat, said Akela, rising up from the meat Mowgli had brought, and the outlier flung himself on it. There shall be no loss, he said humbly, when he had taken off the first edge of the hunger. Give me a little strength, free people, and I also will kill. My lair is empty, that was full when this moon was new, and the blood debt is not all paid. Pow heard his teeth crack on a haunch bone and grunted approvingly. We shall need those jaws, said he. Where were the cubs with the dhole? No, 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 red hunters all, grown dogs of the pack, heavy and strong, for all they eat lizards and the Deccan. Lizards in the Deccan. What Von Tola had said meant that the dhole, the red hunting dog of the Deccan, was moving to kill, and the pack knew well that even the tiger will surrender a new kill to the dhole. They drive straight through the jungle, and what they meet, they pull down and tear to pieces. Though they are not as big nor half as cunning as the wolf, they are very strong and very numerous. The dhole, for instance, do not begin to call themselves a pack till they are 100 strong, whereas 40 wolves make a very fair pack, and indeed, Mowgli's wanderings had taken him to the edge of the high, grassy downs of the Deccan, and he had seen the fearless dholes sleeping and playing and scratching themselves in the little hollows and tussocks that they use for lairs. He despised and hated them because they did not smell like the free people, because they did not live in caves, and above all, because they had hair between their toes, while he and his friends were clean-footed. But he knew, for Hathi had told him, what a terrible thing a dhole hunting pack was. Even Hathi moves aside from their line, and until they are killed, or till game is scarce, they will go forward. So until they are killed or till game is scarce, they'll go forward. Akela knew something of the dholes too, for he said to Mowgli quietly, "It is better to die in a full pack than leaderless and alone. This is good hunting and my last. But as men live, thou hast very many more nights and days. Little brother, go north and lie down, and if any live after the dhole has gone, has gone by shall bring the word of the fight. So the Dholes are terrible hunters from the south, from the Deccan, and they are here. And this uh, Mowgli's pack, the Akela's pack, they are scared. Ah, said Mowgli quite bravely. Must I go to the marshes and catch little fish and sleep in a tree, or must I ask help of the Bandarlog and crack nuts while the pack fight below? It is to the death, said Akela, though you have never met the Dhole, the red killer, even the striped one. Awa, awa, said Mowgli pettingly. I have killed one striped ape, and sure am I in my stomach that Shere Khan would have left his own mate for meat to the Dhole if he had winded a pack across 3 ranges. Listen now, there was a wolf, my father, and there was a wolf, my mother, and there was an old grey wolf, not too wise, but he is white now, was my father and my mother. Therefore he raised his voice. I say that when the Dholes come, and if the Dhole come, Mowgli and the free people are of one kin, one skin, and for that hunting. And I say by the bull that bought me, by the bull Bagheera paid for me in the old days. I say that the trees and the river may hear and hold fast if I forget. I say that this my knife shall be as a tooth to the pack, and I do not think it is so blunt. This is my word which has gone from me. So Mowgli swears that he will attack and fight the Dholes. Thou dost not know the Dhole, man with a wolf's tongue, said Vontola. I look only to clear the blood debt against them before they have me in many pieces. They move slowly, killing out as they go. But in 2 days, a little stretch will come back to me, and I turn again for the blood debt. But for you, free people, my word is that you go north and eat. Eat but little for a while, till the Dhole has gone. There is no meat in the hunting. Here the outliers, said Mowgli, with a laugh. So they are rejecting the outlier wolf's suggestion. Free people, we must go north and dig lizards and rats from the bank, lest by any chance we meet the Dhole. He must kill out our hunting grounds while we hide in the north till it pleases him to give us our own again. He is a dog, and the pup of a dog, and yellow-bellied, hairless, and haired between every toe. He counts his cubs 6 and 8 at the litter, as though he were Shikai, the little leaping rat. Surely we must run away, free people, and beg leave of the people of the north for the offal of the dead cattle. You know the saying, north are the vermin, south are the lice, we are the jungle. Choose ye, of course. It is good hunting for the pack, for the full pack, for the lair and the litter, for the in-kill and the out-kill, for the mate that drives the doe and the little cub within the cave. It is met. It is met. It is met. So Mowgli says it is foolish for the north to run away because the Dhole are coming from the south. The pack answered with one deep crushing bark that sounded in the night like a big tree falling. It is met, they cooed, they cried. Stay with these, said Mowgli to the four. We shall need every tooth. Pao and Akela must make ready the battle. I go to count the dogs. It is death, Vontola cried, half rising. What can such a hairless one do against the red dog? Even the striped one, remember. You are indeed an outlier, Mowgli cried back. But we will speak when the Dholes are dead. Good hunting all. So Mowgli is confident, and the what's that? the Vontola, that's the wolf, which has come with the wounded leg, is very afraid that Mowgli is not strong enough for that. So Mowgli went off into the darkness, wild with excitement, hardly looking where he set foot. And the natural consequence was that he tripped full length over Kaa's great coils, where the python lay watching a deer path near the river. "Shh," said Kaa angrily. "It is this jungle work to stamp and tramp and undo a night's hunting, when the game are moving so well too." "The fault was yours," said Mowgli, "that you were lying in my path." "Indeed, I was looking for you, flattered, but each time we meet, you are longer and broader by the length of my arm. There is none like you in the jungle, where old, strong, and more beautiful than Kaa." So Kaa is growing longer and stronger every time Mowgli meets him. "Now, where does this trail lead?" Kaa asked. And his voice was a little gentler. The earlier expression, he was very sharp. Now it is gentler. "Not a moon, since there was a manling with a knife threw stones at my head and called me a bad little tree cat names because I lay asleep in the open. I had turned every driven deer into all the winds." And Mowgli was hunting, and the same flathead was too deaf to hear his whistle and leave the deer roads free. Mowgli answered composedly, sitting down among the painted coils. So, being old friends, they were bantering each other, pulling each other's faults. Now, this same manling comes with a soft, tickling words to this same flathead, telling him that he is wise and strong and beautiful, and this same old flathead believes and makes a place. Thus, for this same stone-throwing manling, and art thou at ease now? Could Bagheera give thee a so good a resting place? So Kaa is asking, can Bagheera give you such a comfortable place as Kaa's own coils? Kaa said, as usual, made a sort of soft half hammock of himself under Mowgli's weight. The boy reached out in the darkness and gathered in the supple cable-like neck till Kaa's head rested on his shoulder, and then he told him all that had happened in the jungle that night. "Wise I may be," said Kaa at the end, "but deaf I surely am. Else I should have heard the fear. Small wonder the eaters of the grass are uneasy. How many be the dhole?" So Kaa is asking, how many of the dhole are there? "I have not yet seen. I came hot-foot to you. You are older than Hathi. But oh, Kaa," here Mowgli wriggled his sheer joy, "it will be a good hunting. Few of us will see another moon. Do you strike in this? Remember, you are a man, and remember what pack cast thee out. Let the wolf look at the dog. Look to the dog. You are a man." "Last year's nuts are this year's black earth," said Mowgli. "It is true that I am a man, but it is in my stomach that this night I have said I am a wolf. I call the river and the trees to remember that I am of the free people. Kaa, till the whole dhole have gone by, I am of the free people." "Free people," Kaa grunted, "free thieves, and you have tied yourself into the death knot for the sake of the memory of the dead wolves? This is no good hunting." "It is my word which I have spoken. The trees know, the river knows. Till the dhole have gone by, my word comes not back to me. So this changes all trails," said I have thought to take you away with me to the northern marshes, but the word Even the word of a little naked hairless manling is a word. Now I Ka say, so Ka is now constrained to be with Mowgli. Now I Ka say, think well flattered, what the are tying yourself into the death knot also. I need no word from you, for well I know they are arguing, and is now Ka finds that he has to be with Mowgli, and is about to promise, but Mowgli stops him. Be so then, Ka says, I'll give no word, but what is in your stomach to do when the Dole come? They must swim the Ganga. I thought to meet them with my knife in the shallows, the pack behind me. And so, stabbing and thrusting, we a little might turn them downstream or cool their own throats. The Dole do not turn, and their throats are hot, said Ka. There will be neither manling nor wolf cub when that hunting is done, but only dry bones. Alala will not die. If we die, we die. It will be good, it will be most good hunting. But my stomach is young, and I have not seen many rains. I am not wise, not strong. Have you a better plan, Ka? Ka says, I have seen 100 rains before Hathi cast his milk trusses in my tail with big in the dust. By the first egg, I am older than many trees, and I have seen all that the jungle has done. But this is new hunting, said Mowgli. Never before have the Dole crossed this trail. What has been, what will be, is no more than a forgotten year striking backwards. But still lie I count these my years. For a long hour Mowgli lay back among the coils, while Ka, he sat motionless on the ground, thought of all that he had seen and known since the day when he came from the egg. The light seemed to go out of his eyes and leave them like stale opals. And now and again he made a little stiff passes with his head right and left, as though he were hunting in his sleep. Mowgli dozed quietly, for he knew that there is nothing like sleep before hunting, and he was trained to take it any hour of the day or night. He could sleep, so he was resting. Then he felt Ka's back grow bigger and broader below him as the huge python puffed himself out, hissing with the noise of a sword drawn from a steel scabbard. I have seen all the dead seasons, Ka said at last, and the great trees and the old elephants and the rocks that were bare and sharp-pointed before the moss grew. Are you still alive, Mowgli? Manling? It is only a little after moonlight, said Mowgli. I do not understand. Hush! I am again Ka. I knew it was but a little time. Now we will go to the river, and I will show you what is to be done against the Dole. He turned straight as an arrow for the main stream of the Wainganga, plunging in a little above the pool that hid the Peace Rock, Mowgli at his side. So Ka and Mowgli are going to the Wainganga to be ready to attack the Dole when they come. I'll stop here. We'll continue. There's a very interesting chapter here about the Dole coming. So we'll continue from this point next time. Thank you. I hope you have found interest in it. It's a very interesting story. Though it's not a little piece. It's a big war which is going to happen. And that's happening now. And so now Mowgli is with Ka, and all the wolves, young wolves are ready with Mowgli, and they are at the Wainganga river, where the Dhole are coming north from Deccan. And these people are going to attack the Dhole. That's what will happen next time. We meet next time. Thank you.